I hope it's got a good partner, and he will get a better partner because there's a Magnus. You're going to be empowered. You're going to be able to farm those stacks. You're going to have a little bit more to play around here. And really, the IO started to work as the game progressed. You start getting out of that level hump where you don't need to be so careful at sapping from your carry. But it's that 10 to 20 minute mark where the IO just wants to stay attached to someone. He wants to play with anyone, and then that draft just simply did not make it work. It just felt really bad for everyone that he was just sitting next to. So hopefully now with the empowered target they pick up is going to gel a little bit better. But you are playing versus Wraith King and Rubik. These are high damage heroes. These are heroes that if you're not very careful with your kind of positioning, you are just going to get popped. And I think that's where the Wraith King, probably going to see him get a Blink Dagger a little bit sooner. No reason for him to get a Silver Edge in the first place, at least not yet in this game. But I can only imagine we're going to see that Scourge McDuck that we all know and love, that we saw with this Hog in the first game, just running at his opponents, seeing that backline just absolutely crumble. And what are you going to do? RP him? He wants to get RP'd. He wants to eat as many spells as he can with his first life, and ideally buy even more space for Kits, who is still a big question mark in this draft for the cut.
Right. Now, if you're the cut, you add on with the Ogre, you've got more lockdown, you've got the Bloodlust that you could throw out onto the Wraith King, or whatever the inevitable sort of damage dealer that Kits gets put on as well. So, maybe not quite to the same degree as the IO on the other side, but you do have that sort of steroid for your heroes to use, and now the cut are going to be the ones going for the Spirit Breaker, ET. So you were mentioning sort of wondering if one side or the other would look in that direction, and I have to assume that's going to be DNM's hero here. The Ogre and the Rubik just really can't shift away from those support roles.
The oddest, or rather not the oddest thing we could see, but there have been some offlane ogres doing some pretty crazy builds. The Orchid Rush, and then you get the multi-Orchid, and then, everybody spams, Pog in the chat. But at the same time, I feel like it must be a Spirit Breaker Rubik lane. I feel like that's the only way this makes sense in my head. As long as, why would you give up the strength of that lane if you're not sacking your safe lane? And you're not sacking your safe lane. You've got an Ogre to really keep things down. And with this pickup, actually, I'm surprised they didn't slam their safe laner here, because now there is no question. You are 100% going to pick a carry now for DogChamp, and that really allows the cut to kind of single in here. And as we say, usually when the Wraith King is picked up, if it's a King versus King matchup, you're a little bit scared about that, because if you die randomly, as most Wraith Kings do on their first life, and you find yourself caught in a Monkey King ring, then you are just dead on return, usually. So now, with the King versus King battle out of the way, there can only be one, and what will DogChamp now want to pick up for Stonebanks? I feel like it's got to be that same type of kiting hero, that same ultra farmer that we usually see him play. But is it going to be a gamble pick? Is it going to be someone like the TB? Are we going to see them lean into that empower target? But unfortunately for them, the Ursa, the PA, the Monkey King, those were your ideals. Those were definitely your number one picks here. But to rush this puck pick, they've definitely given away a lot of steam in that avenue.
At this point, I don't know, is there any real chance at all that they just try and lean into the mag in the position 1 role and try and grab something to take their opponents by surprise? I don't know if the surprise factor would work as well as just taking another carry at this point, but I don't know. The mag is just in a little bit of a weird spot at this point. You mentioned it was probably just going to be Luki's hero, and it does look that way so far, but maybe you have some sort of pocket strat you want to pull out, some sort of gotcha with that pick. The only problem is, again, does surprise actually work better than just taking a more conventional carry?
Man, I do like the bans. I know that the mid pool is very, very thin. They've done another good job of just banning up everything. So now Kits has to figure out what he wants to play versus the puck. And a part of me thought as soon as they picked up the Ogre, we might be seeing the Invoker immediately get played. And then, of course, you have that Bloodlust, you have that Alacrity, but you also put all the pressure onto Scourge. And we could see them go for that. Okay, the SF themselves. So they're stealing their opponent's strat a little bit here, but we saw the damage that Stonebanks was able to do when everything was set up, when all the dominoes were set up for him to knock down, and you get kind of a 50-50 matchup in the mid lane with no threat of a support coming to gank your lane, aside from maybe Bloody Nine making one rotation for the rune. It's a very safe Shadow Fiend game right now. I'm a little bit concerned. Let's see what DogChamp pick up, and they go for the Snake. Okay, that's a safe pick, but I'm a little bit worried because the snake does not do well versus anti-armor, and if they can just amass it way too quickly, it's going to be a game of Lukey diving in, trying to keep people as far away as from Medusa as possible. Meanwhile, the cut, they're only going in one direction. They're diving right on top of you.
Right. If your Medusa gets hit up, they'll have the armor reduction and they'll have the lockdown. Like, you look at every sort of aspect of their lineup outside of maybe the Shadow Fiend, they've got a way to keep that Medusa sort of locked in place so they can just dish out that damage. So more and more emphasis is going to be put on the rest of DogChamp's lineup to maintain that separation. If they don't, Medusa can get tanky, but I don't know if she's going to be tanky enough to survive everything that the cut will be able to throw at her.
No, definitely not. It is kind of a nice pick versus Kits. We'll have to see what build he actually goes for. If he tries to be that same controller that we saw Ray Lisa opt for, or if we see him just immediately go into that secondary damage dealer that he did perfectly as the Lena. I can really see him flexing both styles in this game because both are just good. It just feels like he has those options available to him. We need a lot of space. We need a lot of really nice, tight early plays from the other four-man from DogChamp. We need to see Ray, B9, Lukey, everyone just kind of ball out of control in these lanes and then keep that lead, because otherwise I think Stonebank could very realistically get run out of his jungle. And if I'm saying that, then we're probably not looking too good on the DogChamp side.
Yeah, that's not ideal, is kind of putting it politely. So we shall see how this one plays out. Game 2 getting underway here. It's a 1-0 lead for the cut. They are trying to close out a clean 2-0 sweep to move on to the upper bracket finals. They would play up against Arkosh for a spot in Phase 2 if they could do so. Meanwhile, for DogChamp, trying to fight their way back into it. Got to get back-to-back wins. They'll start here looking for the first, and aggressive maneuver across the river to get those wards down. They do not want to sort of be at that disadvantage in the middle lane. And Kits, yeah, this, you can't do that. Can't call that one. Gonna have that canceled out pretty much immediately, but that actually triggers something when you're in an official match, but whatever. Muscle memory, we know every single player is spamming the hell out of that in every single one of their pubs, so it's all good, not a big deal, but I'm interested to see if DogChamp will actually do something with this little quartet they've got working out near the Tier 1 tower. This is a pretty sizable group up, but feels like they would actually have to cross in order to get anything, because the cut are not pushing that far forward. They're not interested in an early engagement.
No, and 3 with how defensively DogChamp are, they're a little bit late to this bottom rune, and Giant is going to be a little bit too late, so we'll just split it 50-50, but at the same time, no one's going to be upset. I think the only time the cut are going to be upset in this game is maybe after 15-20 minutes, they are just unable to find or make plays. This is the kind of pressure you're in where if you end up in a farm fight, you are really going to start favoring the Medusa if you get out of that danger period. But that's also where Stonebank cannot show up in these waves a lot. It's the power of the Spirit Breaker that you can't really fuss about enough. You can't show in side lanes. Otherwise, all the heroes get brought down to you. How DNM and Kits play with each other is going to be incredibly key, because he's the lockdown and Kits is the damage. And if they don't pair up enough, you could definitely see Stonebank getting off to a pretty safe start here, and that's all he needs.
We'll see how the Medusa can sort of play this one out. Bloody 9, trying to be annoying. Going in with the dual breath. He's got 5 mangoes, so he knows what he's about. Just trying to sort of keep that opponent at arm's length so that the Medusa has no pressure to deal with. So far, so good. Of course, you do have to be a little bit careful here. There's a level 2 combo from DNM and Giant that could hurt pretty significantly if they can get the lift into the charge, but if you're Bloody 9, well, you almost certainly know that's coming. He's not going to overextend often enough, I think, to really get caught out there, and also, he is going to be very much aware of when these heroes hit that second level anyway.
Yeah, and honestly, as long as DNM gets levels, he's going to be happy. Of course, Stonebank needs to kind of secure the range creeps with that Mystic Snake, so Wave is always going to be pushing into him. We might even see Giant rotate out multiple times, just so that way he can have at least a little bit of effect on that mid lane water rune fight, because that's what Rubik can do. Doesn't have boots, unfortunately, so the rotation is definitely going to be felt by DNM at the very least, but doing a pretty good job here, and if he gets this pull off, even better. Ooh, nice
Better
from
play
B9.
from
Got the
Blade
aggro back.
Well, just a wave-saving play. Keep Stonebank in a comfortable spot here, and yeah, Bloody 9 just continues to sort of throw that out, put the point up in the Liquid Fire at level 2, so he's just looking to be as obnoxious as he possibly can. Meanwhile, up in the top lane here, Jubei, thinking about it, not going to go for anything while Pingu gets off the pull, so same sort of tactics, same stuff that we're seeing in the bottom lane. You want Scourge to be just farming up as freely as possible, and see Luki not even really concerned with the skewer play right now. He is saving the point just in case, but that's not exactly a high percentage play right now. Scourge would have to be far enough forward to actually get the skewer under the tower.
No, and at the very least, he is just getting farm, having a fun time. I think Pingu got the small camp stack, but he will see that he is blocked off here. Probably going to get the sentry D-ward in just a few seconds here, and yep, will get that going, so he will actually have a small camp to play with. But in the meantime, until Scourge actually gets his Helm of Iron Will, he is eating quite a bit of damage from the Magnus. Just has a little bit more damage than he does straight up, as well as, I think, okay, Wookie's also going for an Armor, which is very interesting. It's a very expensive item to go for, but you do have the IO to heal you up, so perhaps saying that he wants to prioritize his own farm a little bit more here, because his Blink Dagger is going to be pivotal for his team to actually make a lot of these plays. So we'll have to see what actually happens, especially once Ray decides to make his appearance in this game.
Yeah, I could see a scenario where a play like that works out. If you can still get the Blink Dagger in the right timing, then you have a lot more damage to work with. You're not just sort of the Blink RP, but that is assuming Jubei's going to be able to buff him up enough where he does get both of those items at a solid timing. If going for the armlet's going to delay things significantly, then there's a chance that they maybe miss an earlier window of opportunity. But, well, if there was ever a time to go for maybe a slightly greedier build, it would be a situation where you've just got an IO sitting behind you and the Empower buff to work with on top of it.
Yep, and honestly, I'm sure he's having a good time. It's NA early game. Nothing happens. Everything is just going to be them trying to win their lanes or trying to get the most out of their lanes, be efficient. That's why this time around we don't see any rotation for the runes, which I'm very surprised because Giant is incredibly healthy. The waves underneath the tower. Probably see him peace out maybe right here. Just give DNM the wave because he literally has nothing to do. He's done his job completely perfect at this stage of the game. But that's also where we're waiting really for one thing. Puck level 6. Once we get Puck level 6, then this game can actually get started. Because right now everyone is just kind of sitting on their tippy toes, super low level. It's only 5 minutes into the game, but at the same time, want this to get underway, and there's the level 6. So what can Ray do?
Up in the top lane, Luki and Jubei are getting a little damage onto Pingu, but, well, they don't have the mana. Skewer forward maybe could have put Luki in a good spot, but he couldn't afford to pop it, so at least they're starting to inch a little bit closer now towards the fighting, but as you said, it does come down to this Dream Coil, and where does Ray want to go, or does he really want to go at all? You sort of see him, for now, just hanging out mid, trying to keep pace with Kits, who is occasionally sort of stepping out, getting a little bit of that extra farm with the raises, so he is maybe not necessarily bound to this lane either, so that could afford the Puck an opportunity to slip away and try to make something happen, but the opportunity may be coming towards him. Pingu is sort of rotating his way down, and Ray has control of this. If the rune spawns to the north, then this is not a situation the Ogre wants to be in. There it is. Haste rune for the Puck, so now there's even more incentive for him to try and make some sort of rotation with the haste to back it up.
Yeah, and it's just where I also want to see what Kits is actually going to decide to go for here. Just going for the treads, you know, see what's going to happen there, but there's just a whole lot of just farming. Everybody is literally sitting at 30 CS. All the cores are just last hitting out of their mind. Stonebank is actually pretty low on mana in the bot lane, though. Is this our first blood?
Mana entirely. B9 nice in there with the defensive play with the Ice Path, and throws out enough damage to sort of force DNM back. They don't want to dive the tower at this stage, but I mean, Stone, he's empty. They need that. They hand over a Mango to him. That's going to get him a little bit more, but not a comfortable situation. But at this point, DNM and Giant, they don't have the levels to just straight up dive the tower. DNM, though, he's getting close. maybe once that Nether Strike is available, you could look for it if you can get the combo. As well, that charge is a very slow one. They're looking for it anyway, but now the TP comes in. The puck is here. They're going to drop down the coil. DNM's in trouble. Giant's going to, well, he's going to do his best, but there's only so much assistance he can provide. DNM is still going to get run down as Raylalisa just needs 1 or 2 more hits there. That is going to be the first blood. So we were wondering about the rotation. It's kind of forced upon him with that charge into the bottom lane, but it all works out well. First blood into the hands of your puck, and, well, we said DNM was close to level 6. He tries to go in a little bit early in that plays. The slightest bit too greedy from him.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the cut, they're being very, very annoying. They scouted out that there is this ancient camp that unfortunately has been blocked pretty much the entire game. Jubei just now unblocked it. I think that the puck was able to, at the very least, farm the large camp that Jubei had been working on for a while there, but Kit steals the entire small camp. So it's give and take right now, and I think Pingu, does he die
They're
for
gonna
this?
push for it. They don't have the coil, but with the overcharge, the right clicks are coming through. But now, Giant TP's in. They go for the lift. The races are coming out. Raylalisa, can he dodge it? Yes, he can. Gets away to the orb, but Kits is trying to line it up. Raze, he's got the long one in 2, so he may just sort of stay on the chase. He gets the courier and the kill, and now if you're Jubei, can you try for a tether play? Yes, he can. He's able to get away to Luki, but of the 2 heroes who are in danger there, you lose the more valuable one as the puck gets picked off.
Yeah, they're playing really well in this area. Even though they have a word here on DogChamp, they just kind of know what's here, what's going on. Yeah, everything's bloody, but at the same time, I also really like that Kits is going for that more right-click oriented build, getting the Dragon Lance, because I think he should be very aware of it as well. If it's all going to fall onto the shoulder of the Wraith King, you might have problems. You might fall into the same problems that your opponents fell into in that previous game. So why not do a little bit of damage yourself? And I think Kits embodies that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, that absolutely was a problem. Raylalisa in that last game. Blink BKB, he could jump in for the Requiem. He could try and get some damage, but the right click was not as strong as what the opposing Lina sort of could bring to bear. So Kits doesn't want to fall into that same trap. He doesn't have to go entirely right click if he doesn't want to, but at least present yourself as a viable second option if it does come down to those situations. Especially going up against the Medusa, you're going to need that sort of consistent damage to just burn through the shield and get Stonebank taken down as quickly as possible.
No, but now 10 minutes coming up here. We've got the carts coming out onto the waves soon-ish, and that's where will you be able to actually find a kill on Luki, who's very overextended right now underneath his opponent's tower, and actually swapped up the build, decided to go for the Helm of Iron Will, almost casually going for the Blink Dagger instead. And I like this switch up. I think that this Blink Dagger, it's what allows them to cross the river. It's what allows them to actually look for a play onto the Shadow Fiend. It's almost too important of a timing, even though it is a very selfish item build regardless, but it's a very selfish hero. Yeah, and Miss Shockwave and now Kits. Oh no.
Channeling the Requiem. Luki's going to take it to the face, and he is dead. That's about as simple as it gets. Invis SF just rolls his way in for a bit of a freebie, and, well, if you're the mag, that one's one you're really not going to see coming most times. This Giant, well, he's in a little danger, but he stole the orb. He's able to jump away with it, and now DNM is charging in. They want Jubei, but Kits isn't quite there in time. If you were a little bit closer, I think they could feel confident going in with the raises, but as it stands, they back away. Probably a good idea considering B9 was coming up from behind, but I think the most important aspect of that one is the fact that they get everybody out, they find the kill top, and they don't have to sacrifice anything mid.
Yeah, but look at that. As soon as that play gets made, Pingu walks back to the triangle, blocks the ancient camp again, and this happens at the most important time in any Medusa's game whenever the offlaner swaps the lane with you. So now, Luki's located bottom, he's getting all the farm, and unfortunately for Stonebank, once he farms his opponent's jungle, it's it. And oh...
This is a very aggressive play from DNM. It does get Scourge into the fight, but he's not able to find the kill. The IO sort of jumps away with the tether, and well, Scourge only has 1 point up in the Wraithfire Blast, so the cooldown is maxed out. He's got to wait quite some time to really keep this fight going, but they are going to look for it. But Luki, he's got the RP. They need to make sure they don't group up too heavily as Kits is trying to get the damage out. And Luki just got ever so slightly abandoned by his teammates. They relocate out, so that means the mag just kind of has to hold his own alone. He's not able to do so. And now, yeah, Jubei, welcome back, and have a seat on the bench as he gets taken down. Kits picks up yet another kill. 3-0-1 now for the SF, and looked like for a moment they were going to get punished there. DNM went in, he took a lot of damage, gets taken down, but his teammates are able to make the trade happen, and now Stonebank is alone in the middle lane. Kits wants in, they burn through the mana shield, and they've got the kill. Puck tries to come in looking for a little bit of revenge, and maybe they can get Pingu. Yeah, the Ogre's low, but his death is just going to buy time for Kits to get away. So once again, the SF sort of strikes, and DNM, really? Okay. They're going to give it a go. They get another strike down. Kits goes in for the raises, and they got another one. And now Bloody 9. I don't think he's making it out of this one. Jube, they know he has no reload. And Kits just racks up the kills. He picks up 3 there, and this... I mean, I hate to state the obvious here, but you can't just hand over this many kills to the SF and really come away with no consequences. They are getting just absolutely pounded across the map, and now Lukey, yeah, that's not going to work. Pulled out of his own skewer.
Nice RP.
Okay. RP's there, but that's really all he had left in the toolkit, and it's not going to be enough. Giant hits him up with a Fade Bolt, and they find yet another kill. The cut really starting to apply that pressure, and this first round, at least, DogChamp do not respond well.
Yeah, and for a second there, you gasp whenever you get the RP on the 2 people diving you, and you hit alt, and you see they knew that they could make that play. They had already used 3 TPs in the mid lane after they got chased out of the bottom lane. The cut are just everywhere they need to be, and unfortunately for DogChamp, they are just at a huge loss now, and yet again, every single time they make these plays, you look over at the triangle and you see Pingu make a trip. It's very simple, but he never skips a beat here. These Ancients have been blocked for almost 9 minutes out of the 14-minute game, and unfortunately, it is all at a cost of your Medusa. And Stonebank is no slouch. Stonebank is very farmed for where he needs to be, but he could have even more levels. He could have even more farm is the problem in, okay? Giant got weached again. Is it time?
Right.
Yep.
Come on, man. You just... Yeah. The tip from Kits, that's just incredibly well timed from Giant. That's twice now he's been able to just get himself out from under that gank, and that's a Dream Coil. Being committed for nothing on Rayla Lisa, who kind of has to be the guy making plays right now. The Deuce is not going to be initiating, and there's no RP on the mag, so Lukey's not going to be looking for it either. So you need the puck to be the playmaker. That can't really happen right now if he whiffs on plays like that, and Kits, he can't quite get it. He could honestly just go back in. He's still got the DD. Looks like DNM's going to try and get it done himself, but he gets caught by the Ice Path, so he might just have to back away here, and that is a very optimistic macro. It's not really going to do a whole lot as Kits was able to sidestep it in the tower. Just get taken down.
And now, Kits just BKB. Disassembled his Dragon Lance. You are no longer dying on this Shadow Fiend. You need to get caught with your opponents really overreacting on you, and at the very least, you can't really afford or have enough control to actually get a lot of these kills. And okay,
is that BKB?
Didn't want to get RP'd, and now is the blink reveal on Lukey. That's the item he's been taking half of Stonebank's farm from in the top lane, and now they know about it. So now the game is completely different. They're going to play a lot safer. They're going to let Giant catch up to them in a lot of these circumstances, and Giant himself, having this illusory orb for pretty much the entire game just means he's incredibly farmed. He's got an Aether Lens. So as long as he has this ward, there's no way he dies here. Nope. He's going to start running away, though. They're going to have to coil it, maybe.
There's going to be the coil. I don't think he's going to be able to time it out this time around. Yeah. Here comes Kits. Here comes Scourge. There's a charge coming in from DNM as well. They just need to keep him in the area long enough. As you see Jube, he's getting pushed back. Scourge wants to go for the supports on the backline while DNM continues the charge. Lukey really just kind of alone right now. It's DNM and Pingu, though, who are going for the kill. They don't have the highest amount of damage, but with the Nether Strike, they can continue to keep the mag locked down. He tries to skewer onto the high ground, looks for the immediate TP, does manage to make it out, but over to the west, the chase continues. Bloody 9 was picked off. Jube trying to dance in the trees, looking for the reload on health. That'll get him out for now, but yeah, he's coming back, and who can he come back with? The mag has RP, so maybe you could try for something really just incredibly ballsy here, but see on the other side, look at Pingu. He's just running interference, making sure they're not going to be able to make that play. Jube gets taken down. Pingu does have to trade, but if they can get the tier 2 tower, they're going to come away the victors in this one, as tower will fall. Rayla Lisa, though, wants to push forward. No Dream Coil for about 15 more seconds as the RP comes in. Lukey hit onto 3. Can they get any of these heroes, though? Scourge still fighting, toggling the armlet. Eventually he goes down, but that's only the reincarnation. They need to make sure
Oh, he's
Lisa
so
gets
slow.
out.
Oh,
Ooh, if Kits had 1 or 2 more seconds, those raises were coming back up. So very fortunate play for the puck to get away, and they claw back something, I guess we could say. I mean, they get through the reincarnation, they kill off DNM, but that is still a costly one, and a 3-man RP that was kind of just okay. And you look at Giant, he was able to take that RP away. So now you've got the Rubik in a position to make a play and really just punish DogChamp if they try to go back in as, oh, okay, Bloody 9. Yeah, he's dead. That's unfortunate, but the puck... Can he even...
Oh, no.
Can he actually do this? I don't think he can. He's going to get locked down. There's going to be the RP coming in. Luki, though, looking to make something happen, but DNM is in with another strike. They will blow Lisa up. Giant dies, but who cares? Mission accomplished. He got the RP for himself, and that is a horrible trade for DogChamp. It feels like at this point they're just kind of looking for any scrap that they can pick up, but that was not the trade-off, and now Roshan is wide open.
yep. And really anything you can do here, maybe you can try and throw an ice path into the mix, and they are going to TP in here at the very least to try and defend their ward, but I think Bloody 9 will realize pretty quickly that there is nothing you can do. If he sticks around for too long, he is going to just get punished here. Now you've got an Aegis on the Wraith King. Interesting choice to give it to him as opposed to the Shadow Fiend, but Scourge is going to have a Blink Dagger pretty soon here, and that's where this game gets kicked up to an even just another notch. He's just going to start running at his opponents. Not much you can do. DNM's got his Shadow Blade, so the supports have to be even more considerate about their positioning. Otherwise, it's exactly the draft they wanted. They're just going to start ripping you apart, and that's where Medusa, who is very selfish with her items, we're not seeing an AC. We're not seeing a team item to try and get you out of this situation. We're going to see a Scotty in, what, maybe 1,500 more gold here, and then we've got a hope here that you can kite this Wraith King after the fact. But okay, oh, Luki, he whiffed on the skewer here, but let's see if anyone pays for his mistake.
At least he's able to fall back successfully so they don't overcommit, but they're still in the area. This is the part that gets really sort of concerning for them. There's no immediate sort of punish. Those blinks aren't up just yet, but well, you gotta be careful. You didn't get caught, but stick around too long and, well, the cut can sort of come right at you, although DNM at this point, I believe, yeah, he just charged down bot.
Yep, and, well, that's for the SV. Your bot, you were just top, now your bot lane. Your split push issue is fixed. 4 heroes are trying to set up a gank on him at the very least, or not even. They're just trying to get Stonebank as much farm as possible. The only problem is they realize that he's alone here.
It snuck around the back, looking for the perfect Requiem timing. It did hit on the Stonebank, so he is feared. The damage wasn't quite as high as they wanted, but they're still looking for the fight. As Jube, he's been spotted. They'll take him down right away. The relocate's taken out. And now, how can they do this? Stonebank's pushing forward with the ult online. He does burn through both of the supports, but I don't really think that's going to be enough. They need a big play from Luki. He's trying to come in. He's looking for an RP, but the spread from the cut is pretty solid right now, although Kits, he's getting run down, isolated from his teammates. They'll finish him off. And now Scourge, he's just kind of stuck in the middle of this. He does have the Aegis and his reincarnation, but, well, I don't know if that does him a whole lot of good. They'll get through the first life. DNM's going to try to charge in. It's immediately canceled by that ice path, and they are just going to be able to sort of clean up this one. As Scourge, he's just so damn slow. He's not going to be able to hit anything. Oh, okay, never mind, I lied. He's at least able to hit up the Chikiro, but where he goes beyond that point, who knows? Pingu, though, coming over, trying to help out as best as he can, and if you're DogChamp, yeah, how much of a risk are you willing to take here? The answer is not quite that much risk. They'll pull back. Stonebank survives. Stonebank picks up a Scotty, and that goes about as well as I think they could have honestly expected. A couple of buybacks from the supports, but some big kills, and Adusa with a whole hell of a lot more gold now than she had before.
Yeah, he got almost 3,000 net worth from that fight. He's got so much. He's actually got items, or rather gold, towards his next item. And once he gets that butterfly, suddenly that's where you start playing behind the meta. That's where suddenly Scourge is able to not catch you anymore. He has to go back for an MKB. He has to look kind of behind him whenever he's playing versus Medusa going forward now. And that is something very scary that you're going to have to contend with. Of course, he's an empowered Wraith King. He is a Wraith King. And now that he has this Blink Dagger, can only imagine that they're going to start running at their opponents even harder than they were before. But at the same time, we need to see, I think, a little bit more durability now on some of these heroes. Items like BKBs, ACs, I guess the Agnum Scepter, in mind if he went for a BKB, just because the only way they die is in that coil, is in that RP. And right now, the Scotty Medusa, although Medusa is a fantastic hero, is not going to hit that hard yet. She doesn't have that crit. She doesn't have that butterfly. It's going to be a slow death if it is a death. And, oh no.
They didn't kill him fast enough. Giant gets taken down, but he'll trade himself out. Rayla Lisa falls. DNM's still hunting, though, just in case, but didn't really have any spells. The charge is back up now, but he would have been too far away from his teammates to really make something happen. But if you're Giant, you are absolutely okay with that trade-off. He gets taken down, but he had already bought the blink. That was sort of on its way out to him when he died, and the puck being off the map for this long means they're just going to have to sit back and continue farming with Stonebank, as they did just relocate him bottom. Pingu's here, but there's no way they could get the kill that fast. You do have Scourge sort of coming over, but still would not have been enough damage.
And Stonebank, he is incredibly farm. He's got a full Eagle Song now. He is just doing everything in his power. Juve is also doing everything in his power to try and give this Medusa as much net worth as humanly possible. Not to mention that Stonebank is also empowered, so he's going to do that much more base damage. It's why he's going for the more stat king heavy build, but at the same time, I am just concerned about every other member of DogChamp. Of course, everyone is going to have an impact in this game. It's just they are getting run at so hard by these supports, and if they ever get sloppy with their spell usage, Giant's there with the punish. If they ever get too lazy with a spell after the coil, or perhaps not using a dual breath after the ice path, then suddenly you have the best spells in the game versus your own hero, and then how can Stonebank 1v5 like that? It just doesn't make sense. And I think that's where we might fall into a little bit of a trap here, because unfortunately, Ray is trying to play like Puck, just playing in the side lane, trying to push out by himself, doing whatever he can. But that's also stepping on your Medusa's toes just a little bit, because Medusa just wants everything. And unfortunately, you can't play in this top lane because there's a Spirit Breaker. You can't know that you're getting set up on. And until he has this Lincoln Sphere, he's just going to keep on stealing farm from his other cores. It's why, namely, Luki is so poor right now.
They don't really have a whole lot. You look at the net worth for anyone other than the Dusa, and it's awkward. As Luki, he jumps in. He tried for the RP, but he's stunned first. Luki's down. Kits is going to use the last of his BKB to get off the Requiem. That pushes back the rest of DogChamp. It'll reset the fight as DNM. He's charging in onto Stonebank. He'll connect first. They get the Nether Strike down onto Jube, trying to get that Isle out of the fight as quickly as possible. They do find that kill. Now they're onto the Deuce, as Stonebank, though, is able to pop the Manta, trying to fall back. It should get him out of there, but at this point, damage has already kind of been done. Oh god, Ray's going back in. That's very risky, and he will just jump back out to the orb, but Luki, I don't know how much he saw. They did, excuse me, not that ward. They did have the ward on the low ground, so he knew there was no one there, but I don't think they actually saw all the way up the cliff, and he just blinks into 3 or 4.
Yeah, it was a fantastic attempt, but that's what it was. It was just an attempt. It was completely blind. He was really none the wiser of what he was jumping into. I'm surprised Giant wasn't even more ready for him with how kind of telegraphed everything was. I think he was trying to have that surprise factor to catch his opponents off guard there, and that was a huge moment for them. That was Stonebank the second he got his butterfly delivered. So there really wasn't a fight that Scourge was going to be happy staying in the middle of, but got BKB now, and ooh, nice blink from Luki. That could have been a little bit bad, but
can they pull him?
Oh boy,
the lift that cancels out the charge immediately, and even if he does get the full sort of length of that skewer, it's Scourge with 2 lives, but if you get shut down right there underneath your own tower, he's just straight up dead. They find the pick, and Kits is just in there to casually go for the tier 2, so well, Giant is really sort of flexing here. Stat-wise, maybe it's not quite as represented. 4, 4, and 8 is, good but not great, but it's those sort of smaller plays he's making up some of these combos that it's really taking away the strength from DogChamp's lineup.
Yeah, and I think that's where you look over at Stonebank and you see he's going for an Agnum Scepter. He's feeling like he does not have enough control right now, and he's the only one getting items on his team, so it makes sense for him to go for this item, but I just am worried that if it's not an item like the Satanic or the Daedalus, that he's going to fall so far behind a player like Scourge, who just invests everything into himself. the Ags is definitely a little bit more selfless, and I think that's where if they finally want a smoke, they want an RP, they want to nail something right now, and this would be the perfect spot. They place a ward here, the smoke breaks, they're going to be on the low ground on the cut side, but I think they're going to go a little bit too high, and Scan, they're very aware of what's going on the cut side.
Looking for the sort of wraparound angle at this point, and now if you're DogChamp, this is a very awkward position. You are smoked up in the river, not sure exactly if you want to go forward or fall back, and they're going to run right into Pingu. This Ogre should be taken down, so, well, you're able to find yourself a pick off. Meanwhile, the Rubik tried for the steal, but the Lincolns was able to block it, so at least you don't give up anything else, and I mean, you got yourself a kill. It's not exactly the greatest target considering that was about a 4 or 5 man smoke, but if you're DogChamp, you put the pressure off. Stonebank can continue to farm towards that Ags, and we can sort of circle back on their teamfight status once those items are picked up. A Scourge? He's going to jump onto Lukey. Giants here too. DNM's charging in. Lukey, well, damn. I mean, he thought he was going to be survivable enough to just get away. Very much not the case, and that's kind of a bit of a freebie for the cut.
And now Scourge just checked it, saw that it was going to be another minute on Roche, and that's where they're going to be in the next minute. Nobody's going to leave this top side of the map except for maybe DNM, who is allowed to leave the side, but can only imagine they're going to have a tight grip over this area, and this is a make or break Aegis. This is what is going to really make Scourge confident enough to actually peek up into the high ground. And also look at his item build. The man's going for a Bloodthorn. He knows that there isn't a BKB in the pipeline for Stonebank. He feels like he's going to be able to just ruin him if he gets him post Manta, and can only agree. There is no work. There is nothing in that kind of line of defense for him, and Stonebank does have the Aghanim Scepter, so he can throw those Mystic Snakes out, try to stun up and stone up as many heroes as he can, but at the same time, I'm a little bit concerned here, because if you're relying on that snake, you're going to need to take these long fights because your damage is much slower now. You have decidedly gone for an item that isn't really increasing your DPS anymore. You're just trying to allow yourself to hit these heroes as long as you can. Where you look at a hero like Kits, he's got a Silver Edge, he's got a Hurricane Pike. He is geared up to fight one-on-one versus this Medusa, and he's closing the distance. He's almost going to be able to, once he gets an item like the Satanic. Oh, the lift.
Oh my goodness, again, Giants able to cancel it. That's just not fair. Pingu does still go down, but look at DNM charging in. Buyback actually from Pingu. He's going to look to rejoin this fight, but is there a fight to rejoin? DNM is thinking about it, but he's standing on a sentry, so they knew he was there, but that may not matter. They're still pushing their way forward. The Requiem comes through, connecting onto a couple, but Stonebank is still trying to hold his ground. Dishing out the damage, DNM will fall. Pingu's going to die for a second time. It's a triple kill for Stonebank, but Scourge trying to get in there, acting as the distraction. Kits with the BKB activated, cuts off the supports as Jubei and Bloody Nine will both go down, and Stonebank, he's got to try and do this not quite alone. Rayla Lisa's coming in. Jubei actually just bought back. Oh, but he buys back only to die a second time immediately. Bloody Nine, though, bought back as well. So Kits needs a little bit of assistance on the back line. They'll finally come in to help him, but now they need to turn their attention back onto the core. Stun comes through. Rayla Lisa gonna get hit up. Crit connects. Scourge picks up the triple. Stonebank alone, but now Rayla Lisa buying back there, committing everything on the DogChamp side. Lukey's back in as well. He gets the Horn Toss onto Scourge. They're still trying to get this going. The Reincarnation had already been used, and they finally break through. Scourge will fall, but the cost of that play was astronomical. 3 buybacks committed. Both of their supports die back as well. They'll get more gold than their opponents, technically speaking, but well, now they desperately need Roche to go their way because they used so many of their resources to turn that one.
No, and I think finally something is going to go DogChamp's way. They will get this Aegis over onto Stonebank, and what a massive Aegis that is. Just able to get the shard as well, so he's not going to be nearly as scared, but at the same time, wiping the brow right now because that was incredibly close. That was even without an RP able to be used. That fight ended up dragging on for so long. The initial kill there actually just respawns and then regroups at the end. And I think the cut, they back out so hard because they know what position they're in. They know that they just lost their Wraith King. They don't want to give up any more map control. And I think that's where Kit's one more item and he can do what he can do versus the Medusa. But even then, you saw they had to switch targets. They could not allow the Puck and the Jakiro to go wild. They keep on having to choose the backline instead of this Medusa. So Stonebank is positioning himself very nicely. He's really being an obstacle that the cut have to force their way through to get to his teammates, but at the same time, there is going to be a point in this game where suddenly you have enough BKBs, you have enough MKBs, you're able to ignore him, and that's going to be the really scary part of this game for DogChamp, which can all be completely removed if Luki hits an RP, but we need to see that initiation. We are waiting for that initiation to make this game just a little bit easier.
Yeah. I'm just a little concerned. There was so much time, as you said, that was bought by DogChamp. They had to shift their focus to the backline, but the second round of that distraction only comes because Jubei and Bloody Nine end up buying back and getting back into the fight. If that buyback's no longer available and they get picked off again, then the Cut are going to be able to shift their focus that little bit earlier on in the engagement, and that may very well be the sort of determining factor between whether DogChamp can hold the line or not. So you had a lot of lives to play with the last time around. It worked out in your favor, but you may not have that exact same scenario play out for you again, and how will they respond to it? That's going to have to be the question. As meanwhile, level-wise, we are starting to get some heroes approaching that level 25 mark. Scourge is just about there on the Wraith King, and you got your SF closing in on that mark as well. So those could be game changers for these next fights as well. If they can get those level 25 talents, they're going to be, oh, what, 1.5 levels maybe above their counterparts. So that could be a pretty big difference maker, but Stonebank doesn't seem overly concerned. He charges up onto the high ground. Luki's sort of acting as his bodyguard on the back line. Really wants to wait to try and get that big game-changing RP as Stonebank is getting pushed back bit by bit, but he continues to hack away at the tower. It's already down below half HP, and the supports here can't really stop this immediately.
Again, Kits is also getting really greedy. He wants his Demon Edge. He wants that MKB before he actually commits here. It's also been some really good ice pass. Luki is struggling to find a horn toss back because he's terrified. He does not want to just immediately die to Giant. They're literally just making all this time for this MKB. And unfortunately, don't think it's going to happen in time. SF is not here.
B&M gets hit up there. They're going to try and lock him down with the coil. Have dropped him low. They do get it. B&M dead, but now Scourge is into the fight. I don't know if he wants this, though. The Ice Path locks him down, but look at Pingu. He's just throwing out the Ignites. Stonebank is on the front line, but for now, he's alone. His teammates don't want to push too far forward. They're still so wary of that SF. See Kits, he's looking for the angle, trying to get around the back, but the ward situation is perfect for DogChamp. If he tries to take that angle, they're going to see him coming the whole way.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That's just Rex. It's such a stubborn play from everyone on the cut. They are horrified by this Medusa. They will not really entertain the idea of fighting him at all. They kited him for such a long time there to make room for Kits' MKB. I think they really overestimated how long this was actually going to take, because it felt like they were going to make a play on the Rax, SF was going to TP in, and then the fight engages. But instead, it took so long to actually get this MKB out to Kits that nothing ever happened. And now Stonebank has a full Daedalus and no Rax top. So suddenly this game is, again, starting to turn on its head, which is a little bit disconcerting for the cut.
Their net worth lead has been, at this point, basically cut in half. They were up by quite a bit earlier on, starting to see that lead slip through their fingers, and late game Dusa. We know just how strong it can be. On the other side, though, I don't know. Kits continues to build up strength. That MKB was finished off. He's looking for the Satanic next. So if they can find the targeting they want, they're still in a pretty good spot. That Bloodthorn is up on Scourge, so they just need to sort of hit their mark and try to find the fight, try to prevent Luki from getting that big RP off as well. Much easier said than done, but if they can do it, it's possible to take this fight, but at this point, they're starting to run a little low on time. Stonebank already took the top lane of Rax. He's just going straight in for mid now as well, and not really seeing much of a response. DNM tried to charge in, but he gets clipped by that snake, and now Scourge just goes straight on the back line. They're looking for the kills. They do get Bloody Nine down first. How do they want to approach the rest of this? The Requiem goes off further to the south. Kits wasn't able to finish anyone off, but they've isolated a lot of these heroes. Jubei is the primary target for them at the moment, but they can't bring him down, so instead, they'll turn their attention onto Luki. They do manage to blow him up, so no RP coming through. Jubei now going to get taken down as well. And Stonebank does not have any support. Rayla Lisa gets picked off by Kits, and it is now a full-on 5v1. Stonebank is so damn tanky, but can he actually do this? They get the reincarnation burn. That's got to count for something, but it's not going to be enough.
Oh
They
my
eventually
goodness.
bring him down. It took a hell of a lot of effort, but they get it. That is a full 5-man wipe at the cost of reincarnation. That is actually all they lose. That is insane.
Yeah, and nobody fighting around this high ground ward here. There was no vision placed by DogChamp whenever they marched up towards this high ground. You see the ward placed already by Bloody9. They were expecting the fight on the racks. They were not ready for the cut to just kind of sneak into their backlines with the invis, with the blink dagger, and it completely caught them off guard. Kits as well just did a fantastic job immediately finding the puck. I think he almost died 100-0 from that Requiem, only surviving because of Jubei, but they killed the Jakiro and the Io first, followed by the Puck and the Magnus. They got the absolutely correct pecking order. There was never a shot for them to actually land any of their abilities. And now, Medusa players, he's got buyback, but at the same time, he does not want to use it. They're going to bite this, and this is a level 25 Shadow Fiend with Presence Aura effects buildings along with the Deso.
Oh, again. Giant is just... He exists to cause Luki pain. I don't think we have seen a charge yet that has not been canceled by that Rubik. And now the rest of the defense will fall apart too. Bloody9 gets taken down. The buyback's forced out of Medusa. And at this point, if you're the cut, just walk away. 2 lanes of racks and a buyback. So if they could kill Stonebank, you're thinking about it. But you don't want to dive tier 4s for that. You got what you came for. 2 full lanes of racks, a buyback from your Medusa. And again, no significant losses. They just walk away, and they're not quite on time for Roche, 35 seconds out, but they should be able to maintain control of the area long enough if they do want to try and grab it.
No, everything is really falling in place for the cut. Of course, 21k gold up. They've got so much more luxury to work with, especially Giant, who just feels like he's got everything. He's got everything he could possibly want on a Rubik, sitting on 3.7k gold as well. And I almost feel like if they really need to, we might just see buybacks flood in. We finally have the Satanic built up by Kit, so he can just sit there hitting Stonebank all day. If they get dragged out of their base, I genuinely think DogChamp are just going to be stuck on their high ground now, looking for that RP into pullback play just constantly. And Stonebank gets too separated from his team here. The support
the charge. Kits immediately takes down Jubei. Bloody9 in trouble as well. He's going to Yules himself to try and stay up, but that's not going to work. He immediately dies upon landing, and Stonebank, how does he get out of this? He needs some sort of backup. Luki tries to come in, but before the RP gets off, he's Yuled. Instead, the Requiem comes through, and they are just going to get blown the hell up. There is nothing left to fight with. The GG is called, and that is a textbook close-out team wipe for the cut, as they'll take the game and the series.
It's just brutal. It's just absolutely brutal. It's every single time he tried for an RP. It's a Yule Scepter, it's a lift, it's a stolen ice path, it's a lone fire blast, it's a point blank 700 damage right click from the Wraith King. It's a really sad way to go out, but unfortunately, I think they just kind of outplayed you in this circumstance, especially Giant. I mean, that was his Yule Scepter at the end. They're just ruining absolutely everything. And it's a vacuum. It's part of the problem with this Medusa pick. If you were ever expecting Luki to get items in this game, I think you really had to make a more difficult choice on the DogChamp side. It had to be a Magnus or it had to be a Puck. It couldn't be both, because everybody is stepping on each other's toes. And you think about, how am I going to get an RP off in this game? How am I finally going to be able to land my ability? Is it a BKB? Is it going to be a Shadow Blade? He went for the Shadow Blade route, and unfortunately, the 1 or 2 times where he had an opportunity to maybe get that sneaky play where he finds the SF, he gets right-clicked 100-0 in a Stone Gaze duration, it just never happened. They played too smart around it, something that I don't even think they knew about for a large part of that game. It's just a sad way to go out on the Magnus, but if there was a little bit more space on the map, maybe he gets a BKB, maybe he doesn't get ruined by the lift all those many times, but really at the end of the day, it's 2 fights, and then the cut just washed the game with it.
And at this point, you take a look at the scoreboard, it's pretty damn impressive for Kits and Scourge, a combined 34 kills and 2 deaths, but somebody's got to buy Giant a beer. I don't know. 6-4 and 19 is already a pretty solid stat line on your support, but you take into account, as you were just talking about, the struggles for Luki, 90% of the time, if he gets shut down, it's because Giant was just sitting there and waiting to ruin that combo. He saved so much of the lockdown for the Magnus, saved the spell steal even, so that he could consistently take the Empower to turn onto his own cores there to buff up their own farming rate. So We talked about how good the Rubik was going to be the second it got picked up, and Giant just played 2 or 3 different heroes better than DogChamp's own version of said heroes. And if that happens, you are already in a pretty advantageous position.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody holds their breath whenever that Medusa marches up high ground, gets a free Rax. Kits doesn't TP back for his MKB. At that point, the game looked more or less dead even. It felt like the Medusa was finally going to carry it, but then it's just that super sad situation where they find the perfect pecking order on the cut. They kill everyone they need to. They kill all the right heads, and then they take the big snake at the end. And I don't know. That was the first play that really led into everything, and just the cut taking an almost overwhelming victory once they got that one kill on the Medusa after Aegis.
Yeah, just 2 or 3 fights in a row, as you said. They got the right targeting. All the dominoes fell perfectly in order for them, and they just sort of cleaned it out. And DogChamp, well, they saw their opportunity to sort of slip through their fingers. So it's unfortunate for them. They do go down here with a 0-2 defeat. The good news for DogChamp, at least, is that is that they're not eliminated from Phase 1 just yet. They do drop down to the lower half of this bracket. They'll face off against 2-Based a couple of days from now. Meanwhile, the Cut are going to be taking on Arkosh for their shot at the first spot available in Phase 2. We're going to be moving 4 teams from Phase 1 to Phase 2, I believe. That's, I think what it was the last time I looked, so somebody fact check me on that one. So there's going to be more opportunities, but the Cut obviously able to get out and push their way forward as quickly as possible. Very nicely done from them. We'll see who between them and Arkosh takes that spot 2 days from now. But for the time being, we are done. 2 series in the books, both 2-0 sweeps, and that is going to do it for day 1 of the event. ET, first time in a while that we've gotten to see some NA action here on Beyond the Summit, and it was pretty impressive, at least for the winning teams. Obviously, the squads that go down wish they would have played better, but what exactly stood out to you the most here through the first day of action?
Honestly, I think as we were all kind of caught off guard, it's just Arkosh. Arkosh in game 1. That's an Arkosh that if they can replicate, I could very easily see them doing pretty well in this tournament, to be honest. I thought that was the most I've seen Arkosh play, not only with each other, but just falling right in line. It felt like they were the most pro team I've seen in a while in NA, and that's saying something, especially considering, where we are, especially the teams in Phase 1 definitely struggling to keep that consistency. I mean, this game, like we kept saying, felt like a coin flip, but Arkosh in game 1, I never had a doubt in my mind who was going to win that game. And I think if we see more of that Arkosh, it can only get more interesting as the tournament proceeds.
Yeah, I mean, that is always something about Arkosh. We maybe take them for granted is probably the wrong phrase, but it's so much of a meme with them and with Slacks, all the sort of shenanigans that they get up to. This is a squad of still very talented and very experienced players, and if they're sort of clicking, if they're firing on all cylinders like we saw in that series, especially in that dominant game 1, it's a problem. They're not just a meme team. They can just sort of beat you down if you give them the opening, and 2-Base absolutely gave them that opportunity today. So we'll see if Arkosh can remain consistent. They do have a little bit of time off here because we are going to be switching things up a little bit for the action tomorrow. We started today with our NA matchups. Tomorrow afternoon, we're going to be shifting things over to the South American side for just a little bit. I believe we have King of Kings versus Infinity, followed by Hokori versus Lava. Don't have the schedule in front of me right now. I do believe that was the matchups, though. So we start with NA. We'll shift over to South America for tomorrow, get a couple of good looks at those squads, and see who jumps out to that early advantage. So hope you join us for that South American action tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed yourself today. Again, thank you for spending a little bit of your Saturday with us, but we are now done. Day 1 is in the books, and we will be back tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. Pacific time, I believe, is going to be the start date throughout Phase 1. So hope you join us for some more action tomorrow afternoon. But for now, good night, and thank you all for watching.